Bucky's Basement. Bucky's Basement.
Welcome to Bucky's Basement. I am Bucky, and I want to invite every one of you into my humble abode. This is my safe space, right? My basement.
Your sanctuary.
It is exactly what that is. And we're talking about, like, if you are out there listening to us, this is the inaugural episode, and it looks nothing like Wayne's World. Right. No. And that's what I feel like my basement should look like. Now, we are on YouTube right now. If you're listening to us, you can go to YouTube and look up Bucky's Basement and see exactly the room that we are in, which is just one small portion of my entire basement.
Right.
And my basement is a place that I invite people and certain people into. And it has all kinds of fun things. It's like going through that tiny door in...
Being John Malkovich?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Right,
yes.
yeah.
It's like going through the tiny door and being John Malkovich.
Okay.
And you are all of a sudden
I'm
in
intrigued.
My head, right? And everything that I've always wanted to build in a basement, including a whiskey bar or an arcade or, you know, anything that I would find in the movie Blank Check. If somebody ever gave me a blank check and I wanted to put that in my basement, I have finally found a place in my life where I could actually do this. And tonight I have a couple of friends I want to introduce. I want to let them introduce themselves.
All right.
Into Bucky's Basement, because you're going to be hearing them every single week on some strange things that we are going to cover in this podcast.
Yeah. All right. So how y'all doing? My name's Oldboy. It's not my real name. I'm just a boy that's old. And real quick, before I get too far, your old picture over there reminds me of the kid in Blank Check.
What picture? Oh, gotcha.
You look just like that kid. So, I got tricked into that little small door that went into Bucky's mind, into Bucky's basement. And we've been friends, the three of us, for a really long time. We've had previous podcasts, namely Raising Nashville, and we wanted to do something that focused on really just what we do as a friend group anyway, is just talk a bunch of shit and about a myriad of topics. And I'm really happy to be here.
And this usually happens like on the deck at Red Door in East Nashville.
Yeah, around a bonfire, whatever.
Well, and more recently, it's happened in this basement a lot, but just with our kids running around acting crazy while we're still doing the same stuff. We're talking about the same stuff we've always talked about.
Yeah.
So I'm Doug. I'm going to go by Juicebox on this podcast. Juicebox is a name that I came up with back in the day with my buddy that I was in a hip hop group with. So, and I've just always kind of stuck with me. It was my DJ name for a while. And then now any type of a creative endeavor I do, I just kind of put it under that name.
You've got a brand.
Yeah, kind of.
Brand.
I like to think of Juicebox as have you guys seen, do you know this is the show Severance at all?
I have not heard of that show.
We were just talking about,
Okay.
I haven't, but yeah.
So anyway, it's kind of about separating your personality. So this is Juicebox is all the cool parts of my personality in one thing. And then the other part of me, Doug, is all the insecurities over here.
I got you. All right. Yeah.
Do you have a social media following?
I do not anymore. I mean, I have not been on social media in a very long time.
Yeah. Mine's no.
I probably should try to do that now that we have a podcast, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I'm weak in that sector.
And what is that podcast about, you ask? Well, in Bucky's Basement, again,
learn us something.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to learn you anything. I'm going to tell you what you can expect on the upcoming season of Bucky's Basement. We have decided as a group, because again, Oldboy touched on it. We've had a couple of podcasts in the past. You might have heard of them, but we are doing this all new thing called Bucky's Basement, where we get to get back to our roots and talk about what we want to talk about.
Yeah.
And we decided to come up with some things that we would normally talk about, again, at the Red Door on a Friday or Saturday night, because we have kids, and when we get the opportunity to go out, we only hang out with the exact same people every single time.
We kick it, man.
So you have to come up with something creative to keep each other entertained throughout the years. So we, in full transparency, this entire thing, our friendship, I think, started, and I've told this story before, but at the Red Door, aforementioned, when Juicebox was first hanging out with Oldboy and I. We've known each other since middle school.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, that was 2010 is when I moved to Nashville, that fateful night.
Dang, 13 years ago.
I remember.
So Juicebox approaches a bar where we're hanging out, introducing himself to, our established crowd in Nashville. Mm-hmm. And Oldboy and I are going at it, which over the terms who would win in a fight. And I think it was I had Superman and he had Darth Vader.
Is that right?
That is right.
That is right. And I won. So
I don't think no, you can't dismiss it that fast.
Oh yeah,
I don't think you won. We both had very valid arguments that drew a crowd. And we have often drawn crowds in random places arguing about the dumbest things.
Correct.
And we found that entertaining. Other people did too. So we want to bring that to you on Bucky's Basement.
Yes.
So we have 4 different types of series that we're going to bring you on Bucky's Basement. And also bring it to you on YouTube. That not all of the episodes are going to be on YouTube, but you are definitely go on YouTube and find Bucky's Basement if you want to see how, pretty we look when we're doing these episodes.
Yeah, full disclosure, we're still figuring the video thing out, and what's going to be fun is when people tune in, they're going to see the background behind us kind of go through various
transformation.
Phases. Yeah, it's going to transform. It's going to have some stuff, then it's going to have nothing. And then it's going to have some more stuff. Yeah,
so it's always going to be a surprise every week on Bucky's Basement when you tune into YouTube to find out what's behind us. That should be one of the segments. What's behind us this week?
What's behind the basement?
Anyway, so again, we're bringing you 4 different types of episodes, 4 different types of series. We think you're really going to enjoy them. Oldboy is going to let us know what the first series that we're going to cover is.
I'll lead off. We have a series called Fast Pitch, and the history on this is that I usually, anytime I call Bucky on the phone, I usually pitch a movie to him, and he loves it.
No,
He thinks I'm brilliant and thinks I'm a genius. He's like, man, we should do a podcast about this. So what we do is we're creative types, and we do a number generator that tells us how many words are in a movie title, and then we draw X amount of words out of a hat, and that is the movie title, and then we spend 15 minutes separately creating a movie pitch for that title. Yeah. We get back on air, and then we pitch it live, or it's recorded, but it's live. It's fresh, so it's extremely creative. It's fun. It's hilarious. It's entertaining.
Just think about this for a second. We take generated words, and we have 15 minutes to come up with this.
We pitch it, we cast it, we give it a tagline, and we give it a movie marriage. So it's a quick 15 minutes, backs against the wall. It's cool.
And what's a movie marriage?
A movie marriage is when 2 movies have intercourse and produce the movie that you're pitching.
That's correct. It is honestly one of the funnest things that I think we're going to do in Bucky's Basement.
It is like an exercise in creative writing, because I mean, I don't know about you guys, like the couple times we've done it, I've get in the room and I'm almost starting to write just something, and I'm like, something's gonna come.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you have 7 minutes left, and you're like, oh shit. But somehow we bring it together.
Right. And it's always different.
Very entertaining.
Yeah, very entertaining, man.
Yeah.
So tune in for that.
Fast Pitch is a series you guys are going to be wanting to look out for on Bucky's Basement this upcoming season. We, again, have a blast doing these episodes. So another thing that we brought to light was the fact that these guys like to indulge in a hobby that I am not so fond of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be the hobby of playing video games.
Yeah. Correct. And I will continue on this podcast, and it will kind of be a theme throughout this, that I explained that when I was younger, I always said that video games took my friends. I was the type of person that liked to be outside. I like to be playing sports. I like to be exploring, things like that. And all of my friends, I would always have to knock on their doors. And I would have to go in and drag them from these video games just to go outside and play wiffle ball.
Then he grew up and put an arcade in his basement, you guys.
Because those aren't video games.
Sure, yeah.
Like here in Bucky's basement, we have arcade machines. We have pinball machines. But these are things that you are engaged with, right?
Okay,
there is a
fair
screen
enough.
6 inches from your face. You're using joysticks and buttons. You are, it's hand-eye coordination.
Much like regular video games.
Yeah.
True, but you're not getting the luxury of just sitting on your couch or, being in the comfort of your own. Obviously, you can stand.
You get up close.
Okay, so I just was not familiar and did not play video games growing up. So this brought up a big thing because these guys play video games all the time. I kind of feel left out. So Juicebox created something to appease everybody.
So this series is, I guess, tentatively titled "My Thumbs Hurt."
Oh yeah, my thumbs hurt.
Yeah.
So this idea was kind of born out of Oldboy and I had a video game club with a buddy of ours,
Right.
where we basically, similar idea to a book club. We'd pick a game on PlayStation, play it over the course of several weeks or whatever. We usually picked indie games, so it wasn't something like, you're not 40 hours into it or something.
Yeah.
And then we would get together at the end of the month and have a little dinner or some drinks and discuss the game and kind of rate it. Mm-hmm. And it was a blast. I had so much fun just kind of talking about video games, and everybody brought up a different point about the thing. It's
Absolutely.
just, same way with when people read a book, everybody's got a different opinion. So I know that when we were doing that, I got word that Bucky was feeling a little left out of the club.
Just a little
So
bit.
jealous.
And he was considering buying a video game system just to get into the video game club.
I mean, come on, guys. We have to be together on Friday nights with our families. It's like Friday night pizza night, and we go do things all of the time. Birthday parties and gatherings and friend get-togethers and things like that. I see you guys everywhere, and then all of a sudden I find out you've got this fucking video club behind my back, video game club.
God.
And I have to find it out from being on someone I barely know's back porch, and he's involved and not me.
So jealous, man.
So anyway, we took that idea of the video game club and kind of morphed it into this, and now Bucky has to play video games with us, but instead of playing through an entire video game, making him do that, we're limiting ourselves to kind of the first 3 hours or so of a game. So how far can you get in 3 hours? What's your impression after that 3 hours? It's going to be skewed. It's not going to be a 100% accurate impression a lot of times because, certain games 3 hours in is nothing, you know what I'm saying? Think about a Red Dead or something. 3 hours in, you're getting into the story, but you're barely scratching the surface of that game.
What's a Red Dead?
And
Red Dead Redemption, it's a PlayStation game.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Probably the best game of all time.
Of all time.
Okay.
And something else that kind of brings to the table is Bucky is a fish out of water with this, so it's gonna be pure comedy because he has no idea.
Yeah.
I don't, because my video game history at this point consists of anything regular Nintendo, and we're talking 2 buttons and a plus sign. All right, so let's go, because in high school, if you didn't know how to play GoldenEye, then you were just left out. If you didn't know how to play Mario Kart on 64,
do you know how to play GoldenEye?
I can whip some ass at some GoldenEye. I will admit that. So there are only certain video games. Anything on Nintendo, skipped Super. Then we go straight to. I learned how to play WCW versus NWO on Nintendo 64, GoldenEye, and Mario Kart.
Okay.
Because those are the 3 competitive games everybody played.
Those are all classics, too.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same as the history of my sports, right? I learned how to be mediocre at every sport because I just wanted to be involved in play.
Yeah.
So those were like the 3 games that you needed to know how to play
Jack
in the
of all
mid
trades.
'90s,
Okay.
right?
All right, that's cool, man. And yeah, now video game controllers have 1,000 buttons.
Yeah.
And, like
There's not 1,000.
there's a lot.
From what I'm learning from this series, there is like 17, and that's or 16. That's a lot.
It's a fucking
There are a
lot.
lot of buttons, and you can even buy like some advanced PlayStation controller that's got even more buttons on it or something ridiculous.
Why would you need that? Do they even have like
I'm not really
controls for those things?
I mean, I think you're like doing mapping button combinations to them or something. It's for people that are like very, very serious.
Way out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to also bring kind of the stuff that we brought to the table in our video game club, which is the way we rated it. You know, we're going to talk about the creativity of the game, kind of like the gameplay. We'll talk about the story, which will be hard to talk about in some games because we won't get too far into it. But we've got kind of a system of how we're rating these games. So I don't know. I think it'll be cool, and we're going to try to, you know, some of the games will have been out, but we're going to try to stay fairly relevant on what we're playing.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
And they're gonna make fun of me a lot.
Yep.
I can tell. I can already see
more
this.
so. Yeah.
Like this is more of a series for Oldboy and Juicebox. Because
no, it's for our listenership.
but
Bucky.
you're gonna have some fun too.
Yes, it's. I look forward to.
I mean, I think you bring a perspective to the table for people that don't play video games.
Sure.
True. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you what I think is god awful, and if I could even play it.
But I also think
There's nothing other than that.
I also think as we go through it, I think you're also going to see video game as
In a different light?
as a medium that is engaging and fun too.
Yeah.
You're gonna get there. I promise. So,
Okay. A third series that we're going to do here in Bucky's Basement is something that has been manifesting for a very, very long time. We have had some podcasts in the past, and we had a movie review podcast at one point, and this was years ago. And it's one of our favorite things to do ever since we were all kids, and we've all agreed on this, that, you know, kids these days, the attention spans just aren't there for, you know, full-length films. And I think the entertainment that we were exposed to when we were kids, you know, the highest thing, the threshold of all this was a movie, right? You got to go to the movies. You got to see a movie. They're telling these crazy stories on film and on screen, and we just fell in love. And that's why we started a movie review podcast. And we initially said that we wanted to do something for this podcast that was extremely creative and that, you know, is a throwback. So we decided that we wanted to do Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah.
And we wanted to do every episode of Tales from the Crypt in chronological order for you guys.
And we watched them all during COVID.
Every single one.
Yep.
Yeah, even the British season.
Yep.
Which I don't really recommend.
Yeah. I could not stay on that season. That was too much.
Right.
But then we realized it is extremely hard for our listenership to find old episodes of Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah, it's not streaming like anywhere. We had to watch like bootleg copies that we had.
Yeah.
I still have a USB port with like some old Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah, right.
Shit,
that's how we like shared them.
Yes.
Yeah. Damn.
So what we decided, because we are so in love with movies and we actually wanted to cover a subject from start to finish, was we were going to throw Tales from the Crypt to the side until somebody buys that. Go out there and buy that. Put it back where it needs to go on HBO or whatever your streaming service is. Yeah. But if we have any influence at all, please go get Tales from the Crypt and put it back mainstream. But instead of that, in lieu of that, we decided to cover one of the greatest cinematic actors of all time in his entire 121 film career, and that I'm speaking of Nicolas Cage.
That's right.
Yeah.
The one and only.
The one and only. And I don't know how we came up with this. I do not remember the exact time or moment, but I remember hearing it and thought it was an insanely incredible idea. Someone who started in the early 80s and continues, goes through this roller coaster of a career, ups and downs, everything, movies that he doesn't even talk, and it's insane.
Yeah.
And then he puts out the, what is it called? The unbearable weight of massive talent.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, holy shit, this is kind of about him, and
he's
it's
prolific as hell.
Yeah.
really. I mean, this guy has won an Academy Award for Best Actor. He has also been insanely good at accents throughout the years. Right? You didn't like Con Air, the Southern voice?
Do it for me.
Do it for me.
Come on, lay it on me. Do Con Air.
My daughter's birth.
Stop.
Is
And now,
What accent was that? Was that a
that's Nic Cage's Southern accent.
that was a Southern
a
accent?
sling
Okay.
blade is what it sounded like.
Yeah.
He's covered every genre, right? I mean, he's done.
I mean, it feels like it.
He's been in good, like really good movies. He's been in Coen Brother movies. He's been.
Has he been in a musical?
Is Peggy? No, he's. No, it's not a musical.
I was about to say, in Peggy Sue Got Married, he was in a cappella group.
Yeah.
We'll have to.
Crooning.
We'll find out. We'll find out.
Yeah. I don't know. I want to test a theory I have about Nic Cage with this series. It's that even bad Nic Cage movies are still entertaining. Like, I don't know. You're not going to turn it off. You're going to at least stick it out till the end, even if it's not a good movie.
So we're on the search for a bad Nic Cage movie. Is that what this series
they're out
is?
there.
You think so?
I had no doubt.
I mean, we've already watched a couple to prepare for this podcast, and
Right.
I have been entertained every single time. And this is early Nic Cage.
That's what I'm saying. Even if they're bad, they're going to be entertaining, and there's going to be something about them. I feel like whether it's his character, mainly it's got to be his character. I feel like.
Sure.
Honestly, I hope so. I'm more pessimistic about it. I just feel like, I don't know, man. I think he just wanted a paycheck and something. I think we're going to get into a period where it's just going to be, but we're doing it for the listenership.
We are.
Yeah.
And so.
And honestly, if we're starting early in his career and going chronologically, it's going to take us a while to get to some of that rougher stuff that he's just taking the money to pay his tax bill or whatever.
Right. Because, yeah, he's skyrocketed. I mean, he's still a big name. So
Big deal till, I'd say, the mid to late 90s, then goes dormant for a minute, and then does all of the films to get back to where he is right now.
And
I think he's had a 23-year resurgence career, and he has
Yeah,
finally
right.
hit the peak.
Well, it'll be real interesting because we'll be watching these movies and we'll know when he's peak Nic Cage, right? Because it'll be movies we've definitely seen.
Yeah.
And then we'll start watching movies and we'll be like, what is this? That'll be really interesting.
Anyway, so that is another series that we're going to cover in Bucky's Basement is a Nic Cage series that we have actually entitled
Casting Cage?
Casting Cage. So we're gonna. So far we've covered Fast Pitch. We've covered My Thumbs Hurt. We've covered Casting Cage. We do have one more series that we're gonna bring you guys on Bucky's Basement, and it is another fun one for us and for you out there to listen to because you might just relate to this.
Oh, I think people will certainly relate. Basically, we're calling it Breakup Letters, and while we're covering a bunch of nostalgia on the podcast, nostalgia is not always a good thing, and it's more or less not the dark side, but the bad side of nostalgia, where we realize, man, maybe we're just us in certain topics, and it could be movies, it could be TV series, musical artists, what have you, that where you enjoyed it at a younger age, and now you've just you've gone separate ways.
But you felt like you've had to stick with it, like you're almost like finding it a chore.
Exactly.
Like oatmeal.
Yeah. Yes.
Man.
Oatmeal.
I kind of like oatmeal. What are you trying to
I
say?
eat oatmeal
Sorry.
regularly. Yeah.
I've broke up with oatmeal.
I don't. Maybe you looking at you. You might need to get back with oatmeal.
Okay, fair enough. What are you saying?
So it's really things in pop culture that we realize that you know what, maybe it's time to let go. It's really about letting go of certain things that, man, I just don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, I don't have the energy to be a fan of this anymore.
Exactly. That sums it up right there. So we take a topic that we're ready to let go of, and we explore it, and we write a breakup letter to it.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It won't be sappy.
Like I'm trying to break up with Yellowstone because it's been a year and a half since season 5 episode.
I can't believe y'all hooked up in the first place.
Right? But they can't just finish it out and get it on the so I can be done with it.
Sounds like they broke up with you.
Yellowstone was so hot for
it was
like
so
a minute
hot.
there, and then now I don't. Yeah, because it's been out there for how long?
A year and a half since like the first half of season 5, and all they got to do is do 6 more episodes, and then they've already said the whole thing's done. Why are you making us wait years for Kevin Costner to get over his thing with this guy who created the show?
That's like some Breaking Bad shit. Didn't Breaking Bad do like a big long hiatus like halfway through their last season?
And that's why people fell off. Right? So, I don't know.
I didn't fall off.
I just don't. I like the concept of breaking up with things.
It's time. Sometimes it's time. And that's what it's about.
I broke up with Arby's at one point. I was just
it's too expensive for a roast beef sandwich, dude. It's ridiculous.
I don't know if it was what's going in.
Whoa, what? Could I also break up with Arby's? Because fuck a $7 just roast beef sandwich.
I feel like I subconsciously broke up with Arby's like years ago. I can't even think of the last time that I've gone to. Where even is an Arby's?
Same.
I don't know. They're kind of
There's
hidden.
one down the street. I know where Arby's
There's one down the street?
Yeah.
That is wild. I had no idea.
Yeah.
There's a bookstore down the street.
They sell books down the street.
Which is the fun we like to have.
Right. Yeah. And you'll have fun with us. We promise.
You will, because our first breakup letter is actually going to come from Oldboy this season. And rumor has it that he is actually breaking up with the third highest grossing franchise of all time, Star Wars.
I was going to say porn. I thought the old boy's going to break up with porn. It's time.
Do we need to have an intervention maybe?
We're not even doing breakup letters. We're having interventions.
Every 4th episode is going to be an intervention. That's not even funny. I shouldn't even make fun of that.
Yeah, well.
Which is, it's pretty much, which is crazy to me because when I met Oldboy when we were younger, he introduced me to 2 things. One that stuck and one that didn't. The Godfather and Star Wars. And he was like the biggest Star Wars fan and nerd that I knew. So I'm excited to hear him break up with Star Wars on this very podcast and swear it off for good.
Right. It's going to happen. I promise.
But those are the things that we're going to do here every week on Bucky's Basement. We're going to, again, have a lot of fun. We're going to pitch movies. We're going to play video games. We're going to talk about Nic Cage movies and review them. And we're going to break up with things. I mean, it just basically sounds like my high school.
We're also going to reserve the right to do wild card episodes whenever we feel like it. Like if there's a wrestling event and we want to talk about it the next day, like we're going to do that. If there's a hot new movie out that everybody's talking about, we'll talk about that.
Fair enough. It's Bucky's Basement. And we get to do whatever we want on this brand new podcast. Wherever you're listening to us or you found us, feel free to make note. Follow us on Instagram at Bucky's_basement. We have a website out there, just buckysbasement.com. Go there. You'll find all the information you need wherever you're listening to us right now. If you're listening in your car or when you're in your kitchen making dinner or you're getting ready to go somewhere and you just want to listen to Bucky's Basement, you can also watch us on YouTube. Just go and type in that search bar, Bucky's Basement. You will be able to get in the basement with us.
That's right. I have a question real quick before we sign off.
Yep.
Do you guys think when we're done with all the Nic Cage videos that we'll write a breakup letter on the Nic Cage?
Oh my God.
I might break it with Nic Cage halfway through this year.
That's what I was going to say. I don't know if it'll take till the end.
Yeah. I mean, have you seen Peggy Sue Got Married?
Oh, man.
And that's only the second one we do.
Whew.
Yeah.
He's wearing dentures, right? All right.
Thank you guys so much. We are excited to bring this to you as long as we want to do it. It's going to be on every single week. Feel free, again, to go to buckysbasement.com, but stay tuned. We are coming.
Yeah, tell your mom and them.
Bucky's Basement.